What if everything you've been told about yourself is incomplete? What if you are not a body trying to find a soul, but a soul using a body? What if the struggles you faced, the pain, the heartbreak, the confusion, were never punishment? What if they were signs? Signs that something inside you was trying to wake up? Because thousands of years ago, a sentence was written that changed everything. Let there be light. Not money, not buildings, not kingdoms, light. And what if light isn't just something you see? What if light is what you are? Take a moment and think about that. The stars are made of light. The sun is made of light. Every color you've ever seen is light. And according to many spiritual teachings, the substance behind all creation is light itself. So here's the question. If everything came from light, then who are you? And what happens when you remember? Because by the end of this story, you may never see yourself the same way again. And the most surprising part? The answer has been hidden in the word human all along. The forgotten light. Imagine a child standing outside at night. They look up at the stars. For a moment, they feel something impossible to explain, a feeling that they belong to something bigger. Then life happens. Bills happen. Stress happens. Fear happens. The world teaches the child to focus only on what can be touched, only on what can be measured, only on what can be seen. And little by little, they forget. They forget the feeling. They forget the connection. They forget themselves. But what if that feeling was real? What if deep down you knew you were more than flesh and bone? Because many spiritual teachings describe reality as a sea of energy, vibration, and light. Not separate, connected. One source, one field, one mind. And if that's true, then the next question changes everything. How does the mind connect to this field? The frequency tuner. Imagine your mind is a radio. A radio can receive thousands of stations, but it can only hear the station it is tuned to. If you tune it to fear, you hear fear. If you tune it to anger, you hear anger. If you tune it to possibility, you begin hearing possibility. And suddenly life starts looking different. Not because the world changed, because your frequency changed. Think about your own life. Have you ever noticed how one thought can change your entire day? One thought becomes a feeling. That feeling becomes an action. That action becomes a habit. That habit becomes your reality. But here's where it gets interesting. What if your thoughts are not random? What if your mind is receiving signals based on what frequency it lives in most often? And if that's true, what signal are you receiving right now? Pause, because the answer might explain everything you've been experiencing. Human. Now let's explore something fascinating. The word hue refers to color. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Different expressions of light. Different frequencies, different vibrations. Now imagine for a moment that a human is like a living color, a living expression of frequency, a unique note in the song of existence. When you live in fear, your world feels dark. When you live in gratitude, your world begins to brighten. When you live in love, everything changes. Not because reality changed, because the lens through which you experience reality changed. And here's the cliffhanger. What if every emotion carries a frequency, and some frequencies help you evolve while others keep you stuck? The storm. There was once a traveler, not a traveler crossing countries, a traveler crossing consciousness. At first, life was heavy. Everything felt difficult. They blamed people, blamed circumstances, blamed the world. And the more they blamed, the more trapped they felt. Then one day they asked a simple question. What if the prison isn't outside me? That question changed everything. Instead of trying to change the world, they started changing themselves. They practiced gratitude. They practiced forgiveness. they practiced awareness. Slowly, something began to shift. Not overnight, but little by little. The same world was there, yet somehow everything felt different. Why? Because they were no longer carrying the same frequency. And that's when they discovered a truth. Healing isn't becoming someone new. Healing is remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. But what happened next shocked them, because the more they healed, the more they started seeing signs. Coincidences, opportunities, new people, new paths, almost as if reality was responding. And that raises a powerful question. What happens when your frequency finally matches your authentic spirit? The violet path. In the visible spectrum, violet sits at one end of the rainbow. Many spiritual traditions associate violet with transformation, wisdom, and higher awareness. Imagine a person carrying resentment. Now imagine that same person carrying compassion. Which version feels lighter? Which version feels freer? The journey of evolution is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming more authentic, more loving, more aware, more aligned. It is the process of releasing old stories, old wounds, old programs, and remembering that beneath all the labels, there is something eternal, something peaceful, something whole, the authentic spirit, the real you. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to chase it. You already are it. You only need to remember. Maybe that's why your soul brought you here today. Not to learn something new, but to remember something ancient. Maybe you were never broken. Maybe you were never lost. Maybe beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the noise, there has always been a light waiting to shine. The same light spoken of in the beginning. The same light within the stars. The same light within you. And if your mind truly is a tuner, then the question is no longer, who am I? The question becomes, what frequency will I choose to live from tomorrow? Because the moment you change that frequency, you may discover that the reality you've been searching for has been waiting for you all along. Fade to black. Remember who you are. You are not just living in the light. You are the light experiencing itself.